Joining us now for more is David Shearer, the UN Special Representative for South Sudan and head of the UN mission in that country. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
When we look at South Sudan, the picture is not very pretty. It's not good at all. There's a new report which shows that the civil war has cost 380,000 lives. There are millions of refugees, displaced persons, and despite a heavy peacekeeping presence in that country, the atrocities continue. Does the UN take some of the blame for that?
I don't believe it does. I mean, we're doing our best on the ground, but if you're going to have parties that fight each other and at war, you can't be in every possible situation where that sort of fighting is going to occur. I do know that tens of thousands of people are alive today because we've been there. We've got 200,000 people living just inside our own bases because we're actually physically protecting them. And we're pushing our troops out as much as they possibly can into the outlying areas. But it's a peace agreement that we want, and we want peace that'll actually bring the violence down. And endless numbers of peacekeepers simply can't do the job. We can only do what we can do.
So what are the major challenges that you face?
Two big things. One is logistics. This is a country the size of France that has 300 kilometres of tarmac road. I mean, it's literally a tiny wee segment. To get from Juba, the capital city, to the northernmost town is 1,000 kilometres or 600 miles. That will take you 2 weeks to do that in the dry season. In the rainy season, it's completely closed. So that's the first thing. It's just massively difficult. The second thing is just the ongoing instability and conflict on the ground, and it's not just between two parties. It's broken up now, and so there's small factions and small groups that are fighting each other in smaller areas. And often many of them are not being paid. So as we try and move around, particularly some of the humanitarian organisations, they're being asked for money to get through this checkpoint or that checkpoint. So there's an enormous range of difficulties, but that would be I would say the two big ones.
Now, you took over the mission in 2017, and you took over at a time when the peacekeeping mission was under heavy criticism for not protecting people, for not coming to their rescue, for not helping people where violence was taking place. What steps have you taken to counter that?
We had a pretty thorough board of investigation that came in. An independent board came in and did a big look at the mission, and made a number of recommendations which we've implemented. But personally, for me, I've been asking our peacekeepers to do three things. I want them to be more robust. So when something happens, I want them to stand up and to take a stance. For example, we have a set of Mongolian peacekeepers in the north of the country. The other day, they came across a faction that had snatched 17 young boys that they were going to forcibly recruit into their own forces. Our peacekeepers stood their ground. They cocked weapons at each other. The head of one of the other groups said to our head, the peacekeeper, "I'm going to kill you." And the Mongolian said, "You can kill me, but see that man over there? He's going to kill you, and he's going to kill your friend, and we'll have a bloodbath here. So the choice is yours." They stood up to each other, and eventually we got all the kids back. That's what I call robustness. It didn't come to shooting, but we're asking our peacekeepers to stand up and do their job. Then we need to be a little more nimble around the place, and we need to be proactive, getting to places before the problems start rather than after.
When you say robust, is that a change in peacekeeping policy? Because the common perception is that peacekeepers are defensive, not offensive.
You don't have to be offensive to be robust. What we're asking people, our peacekeepers to do is just to stand up and do their jobs. And oddly enough, where we've had disasters around the world with peacekeepers, when I say disasters, I mean where peacekeepers have been killed, there has been a study done, but called the Santa Cruz report that's just come out, and robustness is the #1 thing that they recommend. So if you're robust, you get respect. If you get respect, you not only are safer, but you get the job done. And so that's what I'm asking of our peacekeepers.
So you have 19,000 people, the annual budget is over $1 billion. How would you rate the effectiveness of the mission?
Look, it's like any huge organisation. I think we're doing a good job. As I said, I think we're saving thousands of lives. helping humanitarian agencies get their aid to different places. We're out on patrol trying to calm situations down. Can we do better? Yeah, damn right we can do better. I do think we can step up more and be more out there, and we're pushing our forces to do it. We're a force made up of 54 different nationalities. Yeah, so this is not easy, but ultimately our role is less about the long-term solution is less about peacekeepers on the ground, and it's more about the peace that we can try and negotiate. And if we can do that side of things, then ultimately what we'd like to see is the peacekeepers being unnecessary. We can slowly downsize the mission.
How much of that is within your mandate, actually promoting peace, getting to a peace settlement? I mean, the two warring sides signed a peace agreement recently in Addis Ababa. There have been previous peace agreements. They've fallen apart. Yeah. What's the prospects this time?
Look, I think as somebody who's been there for a year and a half now, I think the prospects are pretty reasonable, so long as the main leaders of the various parties trust each other. If they can trust each other and we can try and help cultivate that trust, then I believe that we can move forward and the agreement will hold and we'll be able to go forward. But it is an integral part of our mission. We really only have two parts to our mission. You can distill 13 pages of resolution and mandate down to two things: building durable peace and protecting civilians. That's the two things that we do in South Sudan.
Are you involved in the political process there?
Yes, at the moment, in the last few weeks, it's been Sudan that's taken it on as a real kind of task. It's crunched the things together. It's got people, the various parties together in Khartoum. Put them into an area where they've all been effectively in the same compound. We haven't had so much to do with that, but when it comes out of this and we go into the implementation phase, we're going to have a huge role to play in trying to make sure that it sticks on the ground.
There's one other complication, and that is this is a conflict which is to a large extent tribal-based. How do you overcome that?
It's difficult. There's more than 50 tribes in South Sudan, and the president comes from one major tribe, and the main opposition leader, Riek Machar, comes from another tribe. It inculcates its way into just about everything. What we are trying to do, and I believe actually most of the warring parties are as well, is they don't want a tribal conflict. We have to make it about politics. We have to make it about a contest of ideas where the parties sit down and argue it rather than fight on the ground. Because the more the fighting occurs and the more that destruction and disintegration occurs, the more you get down to ethnicity. Right. So ethnicity always sort of is at the bottom, and we've got to get beyond that and get it to the point where we can look forward for the sake of South Sudan and everybody in it, rather than the Dinka or the Nuer or the Shilluk or the Zande or whoever the tribe might be.
When it gets to politics, is the political will there on the part of the South Sudanese leadership? Because you have people like Salva Kiir, who's been questioning not just the effectiveness of the UN peacekeeping mission, but also its very presence in the country, questioning, saying that South Sudan's sovereignty is being compromised here.
Look, I tell you, it's not an easy situation to be in. On the one hand, we've got peacekeepers there that are mandated under Chapter 7 by the Security Council, which gives us a pretty robust presence. We've got at the moment 14,500 troops and a couple of thousand police, so it's a big presence, and we're spread across 20 different bases across the country. And we're often critical of the government. We released the Human Rights Report a month or 2 months ago that severely criticised the government for the atrocities that were carried out in one part of the country. At the same time, as we do that, we have to work with the government. We're trying to build up their police. We're trying to work with them on their judicial sort of mechanisms. We have to come in and out of the country. We have to be at peace. We don't want to be at war with the government. We do have to have that relationship, and that relationship is important for us because ultimately, long term, it's going to be the government that stands up when we're gone. Whether I don't know if they believe me or not when I'd say to them, I would really like to do the SRSG there, the Special Representative, is to leave when we're not needed. I don't want to be there in that sort of. I'm not sure if that's always believed, but actually, the success for me would be that UNMISS, the UN peacekeeping mission, is not needed.
That's your hope. You want to pack up and leave.
Yeah.
When do you think that's going to happen?
It's going to be a little while, I think, to be fair. But that's the test of success. And we've done it around the world as the UN in Côte d'Ivoire. We've done it in Liberia. We've done it in Timor-Leste. So we know how to get out. But when the conditions are right, we will leave. And so it's an acknowledgement of where the conditions are, and we will then start scaling down. And I'd love to be the part of the process that scales down, because we're not needed anymore.
David Shearer, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
sir.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thanks.
Thanks.
And that is all we have time for. You can watch all of our special coverage from the United Nations online at america.cgtn.com. I'm Anand Naidu in New York. Thanks for being with us.